Yes, I feel much better now. Okay. Open he handbook. Okay, that's not the right one. I wanted to set skills. There we go. I have a lot of points that I didn't purchase skill. This is good. Focus gauge recovers at a faster rate. Yeah, this is definitely better. This is definitely a good skill that I have. So let's finish preparation. Let's begin the class trial because we are about to start the class trial.
Now then, let's begin with a simple explanation of the class trial.
All right.
During the class trial, you will present your arguments for who the killer is and vote for who done it. If you vote correctly, then only the blackened will receive punishment. I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and that person will earn the right to leave this island. Oh well, who cares about this boring explanation?
Yes, let's go.
I don't mind starting the trial, but I don't really have a grasp of how the case played out. You know, because I was asleep the whole time.
Even if you do grasp it, you're just gonna confuse the heck out of us, aren't you?
But Nagito's not alone. I don't really get it either.
You're fine. Your head's empty anyway.
Empty head? Huh. What's wrong with that? Listen up. The emptier your head, the more dreams you can stuff inside it, you know?
Anyway, we shouldn't proceed with the trial if those two can't participate in the arguments. Since he's the first witness, why don't we ask Hajime to explain the incident and the sequence of events?
Yeah.
Then, let's start with when we split into the hospital team and motel team because of the despair disease. The hospital team consisted of Nagito, Ibuki, and Akane, who were infected, and Mikan, Fuyuhiko, and me.
The other 5 on the motel team were myself, Gundam, Kazuichi, Chiaki, and Hyoko.
Spending the night at the hospital was prohibited, so Hajime and I had to sleep at our cottages.
Yeah.
I woke up at my cottage on the day the incident happened. Mikan came by to wake me up and told me that Nagito had recovered from his symptoms. We immediately headed over to the hospital, and after we confirmed his recovery, I made Mikan rest in the on-call room, since she hadn't slept all night, while I waited in the hospital lobby. And then, I saw the incoming signal light on the surveillance camera blinking before our scheduled time. When I pressed the button to turn on the monitor, what appeared on screen was a video of someone wearing a hospital gown and a hemp bag on their head, climbing a stepladder.
Amazing! That's such a heart-pounding story! And then what did you do, Hajime?
I tried to stop them, of course. I rushed out of the hospital and ran to where the video was being recorded, the music venue. But it was too late. By the time I arrived, the person wearing the hemp bag on their head was already hanging from the ceiling. I thought I should tell the others right away, so I headed to the motel.
Why the motel?
Because it was close to the music venue, and unlike the hospital, there were more able-bodied people there. At least, that's what I thought. But the only person who came with me was Chiaki.
But I remember feeling a little relieved because not long after, we met up with Mikan and Fuyuhiko.
Yeah.
We were also looking for Ibuki since she disappeared from our sight.
After I rested for a bit, I started counting everyone at the hospital. And then I noticed Ibuki was gone. So I sprinted out of the hospital. Coincidentally, I ran into Fuyuhiko. So I pled with him in various ways to see if he could help me out.
What?
Various ways?
Don't say it like that and confuse people.
After I heard from those two that Ibuki disappeared, I had a feeling she was the person wearing the hemp bag. So I immediately led them to the music venue.
But the door wouldn't open. Since we had no other option, the 4 of us broke down the door. And when that happened, we didn't just find Ibuki's body. We also found Hyoko's, and not just that. Her body was taped to a pillar.
That's when we heard the body discovery announcement. Not once, but twice in a row.
And so we decided to lower the hanged body, didn't we?
When we removed the hemp bag, just as we feared, it was Ibuki.
So that's how the case played out. Thank you. I understood it very easily.
Well, it's clear what the problem with this case is. When Hajime left the music venue, who...
Wait, how do I know anything Hajime just said is true?
What?
Sorry, I'm only being impartial right now. And the story I just heard is clearly suspicious. Hajime, if you're the only one who saw the hanging video, and the first one to discover Ibuki's body, then you could be lying as much as you want right now, right?
Lie? Why would I lie?
Obviously. So you could make us ignore what might be an inconvenient truth for you.
Do you doubt me?
If you're not lying, I would like you to prove it. Come on, try to prove it to me. Prove you're not the killer.
Nagita is the kind of guy who will just confuse us and make a matter worse. Okay. Argument time. How can I prove that movies, invitation tickets, scrap of thick paper, surveillance camera, Wait.
Hajime's
What?
testimony is clearly suspicious.
Okay. Scrap of thick paper is something that's of no use. Motel to cube key is something of no use to me. This is for communication purposes. Okay. Here's another one. This one. The video, it shows a person dressed in a hospital wearing a handbag on their head as though they willingly step on the ladder. Oh yeah, movie invitation ticket. Right. I did not see the movie, so I don't know.
Testimony is a lie.
Oh
And
wait,
the fact
this
that
one.
Ibuki hung herself.
That would also be a lie.
I don't think I can deny that possibility. After all, Hajime is the only witness.
Why would Hajime lie?
Well, obviously, because he's the killer.
Did Hajime kill both of them?
The fact that the bodies were imitating the movie.
No, that's
There we
wrong.
go.
I'm not the killer. I mean, there's no way I'd be able to imitate that movie.
Of course you're not. I already knew that.
What?
Huh?
Before the incident, Hajime had never watched that movie. His invitation ticket is proof of that. Each person only received one ticket, and they're marked with a stamp that shows the date and time.
Yep.
Isn't that right, Monokuma?
Yes, no mistakes there.
Which means there's no way Hajime, who never saw the movie, could commit murders that imitated it.
Exactly.
Or did anyone tell him what happens in the movie? Of course no one did, right?
Hold on a sec. You're the one who brought this up in the first place.
Nagito, what are you doing?
Well, since we're opening with your witness testimony, I thought we should solidify the foundation.
Yeah, I
And
guess he
also
did the right
provide
thing
a
actually.
good warm-up.
What warm-up? This isn't a game, you know.
Don't get mad. I just think warming up is really important. Especially since this isn't a game.
What a waste of time. Well, I knew it would turn out like this anyway.
Now then, since we know Hajime's testimony is reliable, let us move on to the arguments.
So this means Ibuki definitely climbed the stepladder all by herself, right?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Then that seals it. Ibuki committed suicide.
If Ibuki committed suicide, then who killed Hiyoko?
A murder coincidentally occurring in the same place as a suicide. Ain't possible, huh?
Like I said before, it's pretty clear what the problem with this case is. The killer murdered Hiyoko while Hajime was gone. So all we gotta do is establish who could have possibly done that.
Then let's ask Hajime. How long would you say you were away from the music venue?
About 10 minutes?
I couldn't have been gone for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So they killed Hiyoko and taped her up within 10 minutes? There's no way that's possible.
That's why the killer stalled for time by making the music venue a closed room.
What do you mean, a closed room?
The killer blocked the venue door from the inside to try and keep us from entering right away.
However, that door is the only entrance to the music venue, right? If they blocked the door from the inside, the killer would not have been able to leave either.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Which means, when we broke down the venue door, the killer was still inside.
They were?
If that's the case, the only suspicious people are those who don't have an alibi for that time. And that's you two! Sonia and Kazuichi!
Me too?
What the hell? Why's it gotta be us?
The others all have alibis. Chiaki, Mikan, Hajime, and I all broke down the venue door together. Gundam met up with Hajime at the motel right before that. And if Akane and Nagito were laid up in the hospital, the only person that leaves is one of you.
There's another person who doesn't have an alibi. You know, Nekomaru. Me too!
Hey, why are you talking like... Huh? You're kidding, right? You're not up to something weird, are you?
Please stop making bad jokes.
Nekomaru is Monokuma.
Anyway, if the killer was
Nekomaru
hiding
is
inside the venue,
Monokuma.
we should obviously doubt the people who don't have alibis.
What a wicked way of backing us into a wall! Is this his professional skill?
Is that really it? I feel like no. I feel like there's something weird about this. Oh, stepladder. What would this? This is a weird one.
The killer was still inside the music venue. By locking the door from the inside, they tried to keep us from getting in.
It seems they were trying to stall for time.
How did they lock the door? That door should not have had a lock.
The lock was on the floor in front of the door.
Are you talking about the broken drumstick?
You can use that as a bolt to lock the door. By doing that, the killer who was hiding inside waited till we gathered together and suddenly appeared.
So they look like they had just rushed over.
I have seen this in serial crime dramas.
That person's remark contradicts the truth. I should be able to prove it back with my evidence. What
The
evidence
killer
do I
was
have?
still inside the music venue. By locking the door from the inside, they tried to keep us from getting in.
Okay, I want to see my evidences right now. Model room key is obviously not gonna do anything good. Scrap paper wasn't gonna do anything good. This isn't good anyways. What else? This one. Both blues touch each other. What else should we have? Surveillance monitor video.
It seems they were trying to stall for time.
How did they lock the door? That door should not have had a lock.
The lock was on the floor in front of the door.
Are you talking about the broken drumstick?
Nope, not good.
Crap! The killer was still inside the music venue. By locking the door from the inside, they tried to keep us from getting in.
It seems they were trying to stall for time.
How did they lock the door? That door should not have had a lock.
The lock was on the floor in front of the door.
Are you talking about the broken drumstick?
You can use that as a bolt to lock the door. By doing that, the killer who was hiding inside waited till we gathered together and suddenly appeared.
There's
So
only
they look
three
like they
things.
had just rushed over.
I have seen this in serial crime dramas.
The killer was still inside the music venue. By locking the door from the inside, they tried to keep us from getting in.
It seems they were trying to stall for time.
How did they lock the door? That door should not have had a lock.
I don't
The lock
know.
was on
What
the
if
floor
this
in
would
front
be
of the door.
Correct one.
Are you talking about the broken drumstick?
You can use that as a bolt to lock the door. By doing that, the killer who was hiding inside waited till we gathered together and suddenly appeared.
So they look like they had just rushed over.
I have seen this in serial crime dramas.
So the clues I have are very weird. Like, I don't know. Like, these clues really are very weird. What would... I don't know.
The killer was still inside the music
I
venue.
know how to use this somewhere. I just don't know where.
By locking the door from the inside, they tried to keep us from getting in.
It seems they were trying to stall for time.
I don't think this is right.
How did they lock the door?
I know how to use this. I know. I am 100%
That door
sure
should
this
not
is
have
to
had a
be
lock.
used. But it's not on the drumstick.
The lock
one.
was on the floor in front of the door.
Are you talking about the broke?
You can use
That's
that as
right.
by doing that. Wait until we get, and suddenly it.
So they look like
I have seen this in serial crime dramas.
Alright, let's see.
The killer was still inside the music venue. By locking the door from the inside.
Okay,
No,
that was the
that's
right
wrong.
one. Okay. I knew I had to use it somewhere because I don't see any other way, reason to keep that around.
Hold on a sec. There's also a possibility that the door was locked from the outside.
Yeah.
From the outside? How?
There was a semi-transparent glob stuck to the venue door. Maybe that's what they used.
Oh, yeah. From the outside.
Semi-transparent
sense.
glob. Like rubber, maybe?
Yep. Glue. Yeah, glue. There we go.
I see!
Something like glue.
That semi-transparent glob must have been glue.
Glue?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's definitely a glue.
It had a firm gel-like chewiness.
Yeah, that's the reason why
And I could
just yeah,
smell
said
workshop
those things.
chemicals the moment I put it in my mouth. Based on all that, I'm certain it was glue.
I didn't know glue was edible.
I believe it is not something one typically eats.
That glue was only applied to the areas where both doors touched. By pouring it in the gaps of the closed door, they must have sealed the venue door from the outside.
And thanks to that, a glob of glue was left where the door was stuck. But if you just stick them together with glue, you'd be able to break down the door easily, you know? That doesn't really matter. The killer only did that to make us think the door was locked from the inside.
What'd you say?
First of all, didn't that drumstick we found seem really obvious? Almost unnaturally so? It was so obvious that it makes more sense to think the killer placed it as a diversion.
Yeah,
Are you saying the drumstick was a trap the killer set on purpose?
exactly.
Then I totally fell for that fucking trap.
Apologize to Miss Sonia and me. However, you're not allowed to slice open your stomach this time.
In a quarrel, both sides are to blame. That's why it's better to just have no sides at all.
So, during the 10 minutes Hajime left the venue, the killer murdered Hiyoko and created a closed space?
And they also taped her up after killing her, right?
Even quick work has limits.
Oh, what unimaginable speed for a slowpoke like me.
If they couldn't have done it while Hajime was away from the venue, they must have done it earlier than that.
But when Hajime got to the venue, only Ibuki's body was there, right?
And when you went back with everyone else, Hiyoko's body was there too, right?
Yeah.
But it's possible that the body was just revealed at that time, when Hiyoko was actually killed earlier.
Just reveal?
Of course, the body wasn't revealed on its own. The killer did that too. Here, I have proof.
That scrap of paper. Is that what we found in the baton lighting at the music venue?
That's
Yeah.
right, but just what is this scrap anyway?
I should be able to figure out what it is. Hangman Gambit already. Yeah, Hangman Gambit already. Hangman's Gambit. Or it was the people that was stuck at to the baton lightning. Okay. W. Okay, that worked. R. Not R. A. Wallpaper. I see. Where is another R? Let's destroy this. I'll give you later. I'll give you later. I need a L right now. There you go. I need a P right now. P out at her. Oh no, I should have not done that. What the heck? I got too excited and wasted it. Another P needed. No more A's needed, no more W's needed. We need a P, we don't need a R. Let's wait until the R gets to the middle. There we go. Wallpaper. There we go. I didn't see that wallpaper, so I know that it's a wallpaper.
That's scrap. Isn't it part of the wallpaper in the storage room?
Exactly.
In the music venue storage room, there should have been black wallpaper that's the same color as that scrap.
Yep.
There was also a tear along the edge of the wallpaper, wasn't there? If so,
You're right. If you overlay the scrap that was caught on the lighting with the tear in the wallpaper, see? It fits perfectly.
Yeah.
I see. So the scrap that was caught on the baton lighting was originally part of the wallpaper.
And what's wrong with that? Does it have something to do with Hyoko's body disappearing?
Yes.
A mere nobody like me isn't important enough to answer that. But if you guys were exceptional enough to identify that scrap of paper, you can figure this out easily.
Foreign storage room. The answer should come, but let's give it a try. Another hack? Oh, logic dive. Okay. Alright, alright. Let's go. I like this one. I like this one actually a lot. Whee! Whee! Ouch, that hurt. Didn't mean to do that. Whee! Whee! Okay, question 1. Why did Ryoko's body suddenly appear at the crime scene? It was bought there. Oh, it was hidden. It was hidden. There we go. That's the correct one. It wasn't bought there, it was hidden. Yeah. Ah, couldn't get that one. No, 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 no. Ouch. I fell down. This is fun though. This is really fun. I like look, I like this one. Whee! What did the killer use to hide her body? A wallpaper. Yeah, it's a wallpaper. Because we got that, right? The wallpaper. The scrap of wallpaper we got it. Whee! 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 I loved it. Whee! Almost fell down there. Whee! Whee! Oh! Let's forget that ever happened. Whee! Question 3. How did the killer hide her body with a wallpaper? They covered the pillar with it. Yeah. Yeah, we saw all that wallpaper on the pillar. Whee! There you go.
it's all coming together.
It's fun playing the logic dive. It's really fun. I don't know, it's very like,
I got it. Hyoko's body was hidden before we found it.
yeah.
But it would have taken quite a long time to tape up a hidden body.
No, the body was already taped up and the killer hid it, along with the pillar using the wallpaper.
What? They hid the pillar?
Yes.
Yeah, by wrapping the wallpaper around the pillar, the killer was able to create a slightly larger pillar. So when I first discovered Ibuki's body,
Oh, I mistake.
because it
Sorry.
was concealed within a slightly larger pillar, I didn't realize that at the time.
Well, that's understandable. I mean, it makes sense that you'd notice Ibuki's body right away.
So they used the baton lighting on the ceiling to hang the wallpaper?
Yeah.
The baton lighting forms a perfect circle around the pillar. So using it to hang the wallpaper totally fits.
Then, the reason the wallpaper was covered in so many stickers was to make it look like that killer.
That's how they hid Hyoko's body, and then peeled off the wallpaper as soon as I left the music venue.
But the killer made a mistake. They accidentally ripped off a piece of the wallpaper.
Yes.
And because of that, a scrap was left on the baton lighting.
The killer must have been in a hurry. Their plan took too long. Hajime could have walked in on them.
Yep.
But going to the trouble of hiding the body and the pillar is very bold and risky.
But the crime itself would be much easier to pull off since they don't have much to do while Hajime's gone. They just have to peel off that wallpaper and stash it in the storage room. It's not that big of a deal.
Then, when was Hyoko actually killed?
Good point. And on that note, it's about time we shed some light on those imitation murders.
You mentioned imitation murder more than once. But what is that?
Are you kidding me? You haven't seen my masterpiece? The Wizard of Monami 2.5D?
I said my tongue.
Hey, don't put my likeness in your movies without my permission.
You're pretty noisy for someone who eats mothballs.
I
Whoa.
don't eat mothballs. I just enjoy looking at them. I knew it. There are so many similarities. It must have been intentional.
Ibuki's death by hanging matches the Scarecrow's death from the movie. Not just that, but Hyoko getting taped up after her death matches the lion's death.
Yep.
It's as if both crimes were replicas of scenes from the movie.
But why did the killer go to all this trouble in the first place?
Based on what we know, the reason the killer chose these imitations isn't that difficult to figure out.
The reason the killer imitated the should be exempted. Because they like the most to hide a weapon.
I see!
To mix up the killing order because yeah.
The
we
reason
saw
the
it in
killer
second
imitated
one.
2 of the murders from the movie was so he'd mix up the killing order.
Yeah.
Then, Hyoko was actually killed before Ibuki?
Yep.
A valid line of reasoning.
Yeah, it's valid. The condition of Ibuki's body suggests that as well.
What do you mean? If you're going to cry and beg like that, then I guess I'll hear about the condition of Ibuki's body.
Alright.
I'm not even crying.
I'll let you sob as much as you want later. Just hurry up and tell me before I change my mind.
What a jerk!
Oh, I see. You want me to explain it to you, right? Because you don't understand what I'm saying, right?
An even bigger jerk? Impossible!
Look, Ibuki died because she hanged herself, right? That means when she was still alive, her feet were touching the floor.
What's wrong with that?
But it seems Ibuki was still standing when Hyoko was killed.
Oh?
That would mean Hyoko was killed before Ibuki.
How light. Your words are so light as the silk
I don't
feather.
understand what's going on here, but they're talking in Chunibyo tired tone. So
Your opponent is out of your
Yeah.
league. It is too absurd to try to perplex me so inadequately.
Man, he's being annoying again.
First and foremost, you claim Ibuki's feet were touching the floor when Hyoko was killed. How can a low-class creature with no psychic abilities like you know something like that?
Because she was doing something that's only possible if her feet were on the floor.
It seems you suffer from a pathetic delusion.
what was she doing?
You're one to talk.
What was she doing there? Even I don't know what she was doing when her feet was on. Oh, blood on souls. Right.
When Hiyoko died, Ibuki's feet were on the floor.
I am telling you to present your evidence.
Did you see her walking?
If her feet were on the floor, was there any sign she stepped on something?
Were there even any footprints at the crime scene?
Maybe her feet were on the floor. But she was like sitting or something.
No.
So instead, there'd be a mark on her ass.
What? No.
Weak, 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 I say!
Got
It doesn't even pierce my heart!
Alright, that's fine, that's fine. We'll get it on the second try. I got it, I got it.
When Hiyoko died, Ibuki's feet were...
I am telling you to present your evidence!
Did you see her walking?
If her feet were on the floor,
Okay, where is it? Where is it? Come on.
was there any sign she stepped on something?
I got it. No. There we go.
I agree with that.
There we go.
Just as Sonia said, Ibuki stepped on something.
Yes.
That something was blood. There were faint blood stains on the soles of her slippers.
That is not Ibuki's blood, right? She suffered no external injuries.
Yes.
Then it's
Indeed.
Hiyoko's blood.
Yes, indeed.
Hyoko's only wound was a fatal slice on her neck. And she died almost instantly, right?
Right.
If Ibuki stepped on her blood,
It means Ibuki was still standing when Hiyoko was mortally wounded. Which means Ibuki was still alive at the exact moment Hiyoko was killed.
Yep.
Don't underestimate the power of the evil eye!
What?
Is that it? A shepherd dressed in his Sunday's finest still reeks of lamb, Hajime Hinata.
Why you...
Does that mean you have a rebuttal?
Does that mean you have a rebuttal? That's a good line. But are you sure you're sure? If I show you how serious I am, this world might be destroyed, you know. You're so frightened you can't even make a sound. However, the time for conviction starts now.
You're not making any sense. Are you the killer, Gundam? Just admit it if you are, because you're gonna get caught anyway. Smudge on the floor? Yeah, smudge on the floor makes sense. Smudge on the floor makes sense.
You're saying the blood on Ibuki's feet belonged to Hiyoko?
Exactly.
Ha! Impossible!
Oh wait, I have to do this, right?
Try to remember the crime scene. There was no... You can't step on blood that was never there.
Wait, what?
Just did you see a nice nightmare?
Wait, I got it.
You're saying the blood on Ibuki's feet belonged... Ha! Impossible! Try to remember the crime scene. There was no blood on the floor.
There.
Allow me to cut through
There
those
was
words.
blood.
That's not it. The reason there was no blood on the floor is because the killer wiped it away afterward.
Yep.
Don't say such foolish things. You don't have proof of that at all.
Yes, I do. If you look closely, there's a streak on the floor where blood was wiped away.
When the killer tried to hide Hyoko's body, they probably cleaned the blood at the same time, but... Ibuki must have already stepped in it, and the killer probably didn't even realize it.
Yep.
The reason they wiped off the blood on the floor was so we'd mix up the order of the murders, right?
Exactly.
Even if they're able to hide Hyoko's body, it'd be bad if her blood was left out in the open.
Plus, Ibuki's body was left out in the open, and it wasn't bleeding from any open wounds at all.
Hyoko's body was probably wrapped in duct tape to stop her bleeding. Actually, the bleeding will stop once the heart stops beating. So I don't think they had to go that far.
aside from Mikon, none of us were aware of that fact. So the killer probably did not know it either.
Yes.
Maybe
So that clears
that
Mikon.
heater was running inside the music venue so it would screw with Mikon's autopsy?
That's right! I didn't know the time of death because of the heater!
Exactly.
The time of death wasn't mentioned in the Monokuma file just to keep concrete evidence from us.
Yep. Since we have all this evidence, there's no one else who wants to object, right? Then it's decided. Hyoko was killed before Ibuki.
I said it previously.
It appears that it is wiser to retreat for now. Fine then. But regardless of good or evil, there's
You're a
no
killer,
deceit in upholding one's convictions.
You're talking way too much than previous
Can't you
cases.
just shut up and back off?
Now then, let us resume our debate.
Wait a sec. There's something I want to run by Monokuma first.
Huh? Again? Didn't something like this happen last time too?
And it helped us.
Hey, if the victim actually committed suicide, what are we supposed to do?
The same as always. You have to vote for who the killer is. Think about it. A suicide means you've killed the most important existence of all, yourself. Unfortunately, that means there's no Blackened to punish, but I guess in a pinch, I can always punish Monami.
Why me?
Nagito? What do you mean? If the victim actually committed suicide?
Well, I mean, I understand Hyoko's death, but I'm wondering if Ibuki was really murdered. For example, it's possible Ibuki killed Hyoko and then committed suicide due to a guilty conscience, right?
That's totally impossible. Then she never would have killed her to begin with.
She was afflicted by the despair disease, remember? That means anything can happen.
But if Ibuki's the killer, she wouldn't have been able to falsify the sequence of the murders, right?
Yeah.
After Hajime saw the hanged body, the sudden appearance of Hyoko's body soon after means the killer had to be alive at that time.
Then she was alive! When Hajime first discovered Ibuki, she was just pretending to be dead. If she waited until Hajime left, that's when she could have made her move and mess with the crime scene.
She hanged herself. Remember? There's no fucking way she could have faked that.
And if she was going to fake her death, I think she wouldn't have chosen hanging.
Yeah.
Her body would have been defenseless in that state. If anyone touched her, that alone would have ruined her plan.
I see. So that means there's no doubt that someone killed those two. I'm glad. Now I'm free to search for the killer.
What the heck?
There's still one more issue on my mind. If Ibuki didn't commit suicide, then just what was that video Hajime saw?
Right.
According to that video you saw, Ibuki was by herself when she climbed the stepladder, right?
Yep.
Then does that mean someone forced her to do it?
No, she did her own will, but somebody commanded her because.
I don't know anything about that.
Don't say it all proud.
Putting that aside, it seems obvious that the killer did something. So, maybe we should figure out who was able to do whatever that was.
So, an alibi. Then our plan is to destroy the weakest alibi. Since Hajime has seen the video, it is clear what time the crime took place.
But just to be sure, that surveillance camera doesn't have a record function, right?
Nope.
It's a cheap-ass surveillance camera, you know? There's no way it'd have some kind of sweet recording feature.
Then, the video Hajime saw was actually live?
Yes.
What time did Hajime see that video?
I saw it at the hospital, right before Monokuma's morning announcement. And I saw the body at the music venue a little after Monokuma's announcement.
So Ibuki hanged herself right before Monokuma's announcement. And since we established that Hyoko was killed before Ibuki, that means the time that the murders occurred was before and during the announcement.
Then, we just have to find the person who doesn't have an alibi during that time?
Now then, I shall issue my decree. Let Operation Destroy the Weakest Alibi commence.
Okay. Whew. Okay.
We can exclude the sick people like me and Akane, right?
And what about the others?
Right before the morning announcement, I was totally sleeping in my motel room.
I think everyone at the motel was doing that.
So everyone who stayed at the motel doesn't have an alibi.
What about you guys?
I was where I was supposed to be, my own cottage.
That's not an alibi.
Yeah, he's right.
Aside from those afflicted by the disease, if nobody has an alibi, then Operation Destroy the Weakest Alibi has failed.
I think so. We go. I can agree with Fuiko's alibi.
We can exclude the sick people like me and Akane, right?
And what about the...
Fuiko's alibi or Mikan's alibi, which would it be? She went to Job Raven, she met up with Fuiko. And Fuiko's alibi is after Fuiko met with Mikan. Okay, Sonia's account is for Ryoko. I'm guessing I have to give Mika's account.
Right before the morning announcement, I was totally sleeping in my motel room.
I think everyone at the motel was doing that.
So everyone who stayed at the motel doesn't have an alibi.
What about you guys?
I was where I was supposed to be, my own cottage.
No? What? That's not it? I thought that would definitely have been it. Interesting, like I was pretty sure that would have been it, but that's not it apparently.
Crap!
Interesting.
We can exclude the sick people like me and Akane, right?
And what about the others?
Right before the morning announcement, I was totally sleeping in my motel room.
I think everyone at the motel was doing that.
So everyone who stayed at the motel doesn't have an alibi.
What about you guys?
I was where I was supposed to be, my own cottage.
That's not an alibi.
Aside from those afflicted by the disease, if nobody has an
Wait,
alibi, then...
Mika has an alibi. There we
No,
go.
that's wrong!
Right.
Hold on. Not all of us are missing an alibi.
Yeah.
In fact, Mikan and I both have alibis.
You two have alibis?
Yes.
Up until I saw that hanging video, Mikan and I were actually together for a while.
We even woke up together that morning.
Hey, what kind of situation is that?
I accidentally fell asleep on top of Hajime. Too much info.
Yeah, it's not like that. She just came to tell me Nagato's condition had improved.
And we went to the hospital together afterward. So we were together until right before the announcement.
I get it. You guys have alibis.
If that's the case, the killer must be someone else.
It's better if we think about it like that. The killer decided to falsify
I
the
ship
murder
them.
sequence to hide the actual
I
time of the
definitely
crime
ship them.
anyway.
So it's
I can add
inevitable that an alibi for both before and during the morning announcement would be very important.
It feels like Operation Destroy the Weakest Alibi has backed us into a corner instead.
Nice.
But committing an imitation murder, is that really all it was? Faking the time the crime occurred by falsifying the murder sequence, hiding their alibi in the process? Was that the only reason the killer made both bodies imitate the movie?
Are you saying there was another reason?
I feel really bad for confusing you guys so much, but that's how I feel. I think the killer had a completely different reason for falsifying the murder sequence.
Insert. I wonder too. Oh, it's break time already. Okay. Okay, not too shabby. Not too shabby.
Stop it!
We actually did this much quicker than I expected it to be. Wow. Last case was pretty long, not gonna lie, but this one was pretty quick. Like,
What
literally.
a
Alright, I think so. This is where I'll end the episode off, and then we'll start off in the next episode, starting from the after the break time.